You know, when they said like father like son, I think they meant like grandfather like grandson. Why you look so much like your grandpappy, boy? Thank you to our final patrons, Sinners Lancelot, Praise the Sun, Strawbones, and Aaron. Now, before we hop into this breakdown / review of chapter 68 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor, leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below. You can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's get into the review. What's up, guys? I'm the Pencil here, and here we are in chapter 68 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which is known as the noise I just made, which is essentially a Nephilim, which is essentially a demon, which is, ugh. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a certain image from this chapter. And like, I'm not gonna lie, it took a decent chunk of my willpower not to draw it anyway, but at the same time, I already drew a certain twisted thing before, so I think I'm gonna hold off. But let's hop right into this cover page. Now, hold on, usually I don't talk about the cover pages too much, because like, if they're not colored, what's the point of talking about? No, I'm kidding. But this one I like mainly because of what's on it. Let me hit it real quick. A demon clan king for a father, a goddess clan queen for a mother, with his family's love and hope in his heart as a knight of prophecy. That's a bar. That's a little bit of a bar right there, you know. Nakaba, he be writing sometimes. I won't lie to you. Sometimes I do be questioning a lot of Nakaba's decisions. A lot of them, and you know which ones I'm talking about. But still, he be boring. And what I do, it's very obviously, I 100% believe that these two characters that are pictured on here with Tristan are going to die. I think it's just like, I would say seal, but I think death would be more appropriate. And that sounds awful. I know I shouldn't be saying that, but it would make sense because you see Tristan's like pure happy looking face, and while Meliodas is smiling, Elizabeth has like the slightest of smiles, which is way out of character for her, and both of their eyes are covered. Like, you cannot see either of their eyes, almost like they're spirits guiding Tristan along through his lineage. I wouldn't be too shocked if they got clocked, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they got clocked, they got clocked, you know. I'm not saying this title page is foreshadowing that, but that's the vibes I got immediately after looking at it. Because it didn't, like, Tristan seemed so happy, but even the whole idea of his family's love and hope in his heart, like, all that, like, it's in his heart, it ain't gonna be with him physically for much longer. I don't know. I'm not praying, well, I am praying on Meliodas' downfall, but that's another video for another day. But let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up, and we do get to see that I love Percy and Gawain's relationship already. Like, the bond between these two, like, I've been calling like a lot of things like familial relationships within Four Knights so far, just because it seems like it. And I would say like Gawain would be the older sibling in this case and Percy's the younger sibling, but they're both just as like childish. So I almost want to call them twins. Like, I know one is literally 8 feet tall and the other one's 2.3, but still, I don't know. I find it so hilarious. Like, but she's still, and to be fair, this is right after the events of last chapter, and he did literally just blow her up, which it's pretty impressive. It seems like, I'm not sure if it's like a minor healing factor or anything, but Gawain, she's already lost like a lot of the burn damage she had last chapter, so maybe her body like automatically reacts to heat and like tones itself down, and or maybe not. Maybe it's just Nagaba's like, you know what, I don't want to keep drawing her consistently overburnt like this. Can't have her too crispy now. We got to keep it up nice and normal. But she's still chasing after him because she did technically get hit in the explosion. But to be fair, I don't think Percy expected the explosion to be that big. It's really, like, considering how tiny the little mini Percy was and the size of that explosion, like, what if the Percy was, like, twice as big? Percy must have gotten such a crazy amp that it just blows, like, I would say the amp he got against Ironside was pretty massive. Like, obviously it brought him back from the dead. Like, that level of destructive power, no weapon, no nothing, no conduit, just straight through a mini Percy. kind of crazy. I wonder what I legit wonder what the other ones can do now. And I wonder if he, like, now can he eat Pelgar's magic? Like, I know just a few minutes ago, or maybe like half an hour ago at this point, but I highly doubt that he couldn't. Like, his magic would get destroyed and Gawain needed to step in, but now that he seems to be at least somewhat relative to Gawain, maybe he could just all up that magic. Like, it's possible. It's possible. Don't knock the hustle. Percy may just be a demon. And both literally and figuratively. No, I'm kidding. I doubt he's a demon. Because, I don't know, his magic just seems so... Then again, the spare side of his magic... You know, how much of a twisted, sick joke would it be if... I'm not sure, like, they died. But imagine if Arthur, like, via his chaos powers, realized, like, wait a minute. I have the supreme deity and the demon king at my disposal. Let me just throw it into a random kid. And that's why he has, like, both the hope and despair side. But that doesn't make any sense at all. If it does end up being that, remember this review. I called it, even though I had no faith in it. But I'll probably make a whole video talking about what Percy hypothetically could be. Because, I don't know, he just seems too snapped to be a human. But we'll see. However, we see as Percy is crying out for help from his big brother Lancelot, like, please, do something about Gawain. She's going to kill me. Though, to be fair, I really, especially at this point, I don't think Gawain has anything to kill Percy. Like, straight up. Unless she's straight up... Maybe she bisected him. Maybe Percy is like a vampire. Like, if you crush his head or something like that, maybe that would get him up out of here. But I don't know. That man, he's been living through some stuff. She may not want to risk the Hope Amp, because the Hope Amp would go crazy. But it is funny to see that Lancelot's just completely ignoring it. Like, he's looking on the battle above, and it is pretty cool to see that he is legitimately just, like, judging. He's judging everyone right now, even Tristan. Though, admittedly, what's revealed on this chapter, it makes sense why he's standing by here. Even though someone did bring up that it does, like, Lance, maybe you should help a little bit. These people are. But then again, this isn't his kingdom. Like, the reason I'll get on Meliodas' case for, like, not assisting at all and just standing by, like, the knights and everything is because, like, he's actually the king of the kingdom. And this is the same dude that, like, threw a lightning spear, not hundreds, but like miles upon miles away, when he was at literally his weakest state in the entire series outside of his, like, baby self. So, all it should take is 1 trillion dark orb out the window, bada bing, bada boom. Both Gawain and Melascula are done, son. But that's a whole nother issue I'm going to talk about, why I believe Meliodas needs to die. Like, to be fair, I believe all of our original characters need to perish or get out of the narrative in some way, shape, or form. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But we do see... I love Tristan's reasoning, right? He's like, it seems like the battle below has reached a conclusion. Won't you surrender as well? Tristan, I'm not sure if you were paying attention to the battle below, but it didn't reach a conclusion. Gallant's dead. Like, maybe not dead, but that man ain't regenerating. I don't see you got a little bit of Gawain here, got a little bit of Gawain there, got a little bit of Gawain behind you, got a little bit of Gawain in front of you. Like, Gawain's everywhere, and not in a good way. Like, that man's in pieces. So I don't know how you gonna count that as, like, a surrender. But maybe he said. Actually, no, it makes sense now. Just as saying, you should surrender before I make you like Gawain, which is it ironically enough would kind of fit within Tristan's dual nature. Like, it's all of his mother in him. It's like, please, I don't want to harm you, so surrender, and we can talk about our feelings. But then, as revealed later on in this chapter, he still has the, forget the feelings, I want to slaughter everyone you know and love in cold blood. Like he still does have that, and I think that's hilarious. But we do get to see that Melascula, she isn't necessarily too interested in, surrendering. And I will admit, something I do like about Melascula's design in comparison to her original design, I do like the fact that the snake pupils are a bit more omnipresent. Like, usually the only indicator of her, more reptilian background, if you will, was mainly that tongue. And while I know that made a lot of people happy, yes, I've been on the internet before, it was so rare to see it, mostly. And obviously, like, she could gap her mouth way wide open, which I also know made a whole bunch of people happy. But still, it's cool to see that she has the eyes of a snake. And I like how the hair is darker and more chaotic. If it is purple, it works. I believe her original hair was a light purple. So it darkening, it works out just fine. And she whips out this thing called the like button. Did you know the like button is free? Also, the subscribe button is free. And if you hit both, they would greatly help out the video, help me out, and help out everybody. And it's free, so no detriment to you. If you're enjoying yourself so far, you can hit the subscribe button. If you're enjoying yourself so far, hit the like button. Thank you. But the thing is, she whips out this spell, Divine Spirit of Evil Taste, which is a very interesting, like, nomenclature for a spell. Because but then again, it makes sense in the sense that she's a chaos I was gonna say like a magnetician, like mathematician, but she's a chaos magic wielder right now. So it would make sense that the whole like combination, like usually divine and evil don't go in the same group or sentence, if you will. They're usually mutually exclusive, but considering chaos is like the ultimate hypocrisy, as it is both light and darkness, it makes sense that her new spells, considering it's all chaos magic now, would very likely include both sides of the spectrum, as chaos includes both sides of the spectrum. And interestingly enough, we see that she is fast enough to use this spell, and I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure if she's morphing her existing thingamajig, like, it seems like she is. She used the spell to morph her like weird flesh ring into something even more weird. And we see that Tristan, after he swung his blade, that his enchantment actually chipped. Like his Heaven's Light enchantment just gone. And we see that why does everyone get on Gallant's case, bro? He's not old, he's accelerated, gosh darn it. Act like he won't solo. I can't say he won't solo. But then again, actually, no. His skin is impenetrable, and unless you got Durineg, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? The Demon King couldn't beat Gallant now. His skin is impenetrable. Chaos can beat Gallant right now. His skin is impenetrable. Chaos doesn't have Durineg, he just has reality warping. But the thing is, Malaska's like, do not lump me in with that old man. And to be fair though, like I'm trying to think of my Mega Brain scale. Usually I'd say Gallant wins that fight, mainly because like because if on the brink of death Meliodas can resist it in base, I don't think she's really doing much to a critical over again. I may have to think that actually may have to be a battle. I may just have to do an inverse battle. I need to do some research into that. It's like, what are Malaski's like feats? I mean, she could actually, never mind. She could straight up just seal him in there. Because if you need like Demon King power level amps and or assault mode level, yeah, never mind. I take it back. Malaska does win that fight. So maybe we shouldn't lump her in with that old man. She does have a sealing jutsu that's way better. I just said jutsu. I'm reading way too much Naruto. But the thing is, like Nakaba's a demon. Like I straight up, I always question like my own limitations as an artist. Like whenever I go to draw something a little bit more abstract, because I do like drawing monsters. Mainly I say monsters like dragons and stuff like that. I'm very simple, very basic. I like drawing Pokemon of all things. So I'm not necessarily a monster man. But whenever I go to draw stuff like that, I'm like, I could add some extra features here, like some extra fur, some extra hair. But then like Nakaba just puts me to shame. Like how do you even think of this? Like it looks like Hawk, who was dried out with a face and another face that's a human goddess face with wings and bat wings and horse like how do you I want to know what you do to think of that. Like what's going, what knock, was everything all right at home? Is everything okay? Because like how do you like these, like Malaska looks mostly normal, like they're just sharing the same panel with this grotesque abomination. Like I'm not going hurl, and it's like it's hard because I can't stop looking at it, mainly because like I keep scanning different details on it that I don't like, but at the same time it's like so odd. Like, is that a tongue coming out of its ear? Like, ugh. And it's very like, okay, maybe she's just capping. But with the whole discussion we had last time about like the different smells of people, is light magic actually tasty? Does it taste like? Does it literally taste like the rainbow? I want to know. Because she says, thank you for the delicious magic. Meanwhile, she's not the one even eating it, for one. It's her weird amalgam thing. Which, ironically enough, I guess it's supposed to be a Nephilim. Like this, from what she goes on to explain later on the chapter, this is Tristan in his most, I guess, chaotic form. But, like, What does it taste like? Rock. See, everything else would. What do light and darkness taste like? Like if you could just take a huge old bite, like say Meliodas like threw a trillion dark spear at you, and you just would it taste like nasty? Would it taste impure? Would it taste like, because it's like light magic is magic. Meanwhile, darkness has like way too many physical properties and literally can't even be canceled out by like a magic canceling thing. They can cancel out actual magic. So like, would it be like? I feel like it'd be. It's gonna sound, see, like it'd be like solid, right? Like you wouldn't really be able to bite into it. But if it was like flex, because darkness is flexible. I don't know. Light seems. I guess light would be crunchy. I don't. Maybe light would be like. I feel like light would be like flavored ice. Like it may taste like lemonade. And like light magic may taste like lemonade and or like shaved ice lemonade, like something like that. But darkness, I can't put a taste to it. Like for some reason, the only idea that's coming to mind is like a meat. Like it would just taste like steak or something like that. But not like to us. It would be like tough steak or like really old beef. Like it wouldn't taste good, but it'd be edible. A rock would taste like a rock. Like I can't really. Like earth magic isn't too hard to figure out what it would taste like. Go put a rock in your mouth. You have earth magic. Wonderful, tasty. Nature magic. I mean, maybe sunflower would taste weird. Like, but everything else would make sense for nature magic. Like it's plants. It would, whatever the plant they're using is what it's gonna taste like. Fine. Human magic. What is? Like, can you eat bond steel? Like, could you just like? Because like in the anime. I'm not sure so much sure about the manga, but in the anime, there's like visual energy particles. I think there may be some in the manga too. Like, unlike, I believe most of the time in the manga is just portrayed by like Bond, just like there's no magic trail. But in the anime, I know there for a fact there are magic trails. Like, what do those taste like? Do they taste like theft? I don't know. I'm very intrigued. Lightning would taste like lightning. That one makes sense. That one what does music taste like? I'm sorry, I'm going on a whole weird tangent about taste, but just because. All these different descriptors for magic, you can smell it, you can sense it, you can taste it. Like, it's got me thinking. Another stupid Q&A question like to be asked. What do all the magics taste like? Though I bet Naka will just say rock tastes like rock and call it the end of a Q&A question. However, notable thing we get to see here is that Tristan has access to base arc. He's got it. Like, he's got it in the toolkit. He's got the Kablammer on him. So watch out before you get arc with the spark. Like stuff could go crazy. Watch it. And I don't know why I was so shocked about this, but it's just that like he kept using the star magic variants that for some reason I thought maybe he didn't have access to it, but I'm guessing considering this is like an amped version, or no, arc is the basis. Like every single goddess and their mother has arc. Like this, quite literally in Tristan's case, but everyone can use arc. That's why you can make weird arguments about like almost any like low red demon or like any basic goddess has at least some relativistic, just because they literally use light particles. That's what arc is. But at the same time, with Tristan having it and it being like the most basic version of it, he really is not taking Muscular seriously. Like he has the Triskelion out, which we find out is not his highest, and then he's also using a weaker variation of his magic, because I don't think magic would work on like a purity scale, right? Like I don't think the closer and closer you get to your original magic, like your arcs, or just using pure darkness, and that's not magic, that may be different, but like you may be able to argue that this case, because it's more, but I don't know. It seems very interesting that he resorts to basic arc here, which would once again imply that he's holding back. And I will admit, one thing that does seem a bit weird, I thought the Triskelion were infused into his eye, and I'm assuming they actually are. It's just that this is a weirdly drawn shot. But like, Tristan's eye is facing forward, and the Triskelion is overlaid as if it's like floating to the side of his face. I'm assuming just Nagaba made an artistic mistake. Like when you work all by yourself and you got a whole chapter release on a week by week basis, these things happen. But notably, we do get to see that despite doing that, holy magic has no effect. Like absolutely none at all. The beast is still there, vibing, if you will, kind of like Esterosa, ironically enough. And we see that essentially this weird beast, crazy Omega awful thing is a polymer of souls called from the other side. So essentially, this is interesting though, because she says it's a mix of demon and goddess clan souls. So of course it possesses resistance to light and darkness. Ironic, isn't it? It's just like you. And just like Tristan, for real. But in actuality, the interesting thing is, so I guess Melascula has access to both the capital. Well, yeah, never mind. That makes sense. I don't know why I was going to, because Elaine was in the capital of the dead and she got brought back. But it's interesting. Like, I wonder, bringing people back is one thing, right? Like, anyone can do that. Your average necromancer can also tell you the like button is free, along with the subscribe button. They're both free. And they would help me out a lot if you hit both the like and subscribe button. If you're enjoying the video so far, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Also, I do have links in the description if you want to get more content from me, usually daily. But regardless of that, the thing is, I wonder, like, how's she doing this? How's she fusing things? Like, that's a different kind of evolution to her magic. Like, I don't think she ever fused anybody. You could argue, actually, you could technically argue this is just an evolution of her, like, infusion magic, because she did take Meliodas' dark energy and use it to fuel those skeletons at one time. So, arguably, you could say that's an extension of this, like a chaotic extension, which makes sense. Very interesting, though. I wonder, like, that's the thing, we don't know this doesn't seem to be any major demon. This doesn't look like Fraudrin to me. And that goddess face looks kind of generic. Like, I almost want to say Ludishel, but Ludishel's face did not look exactly like that. And I don't think, considering he's stuck in, like, Grace reincarnation mode right now, I don't think he's going to be, like, taken over, especially by someone as fodder. It's weird to call Melascula fodder, but someone as fodder as Melascula. But it's very interesting that she's able to make, essentially, a Nephilim. This is what, and maybe that's what the homage of this nasty thing is, and where Nakaba got the inspiration from, because Nephilims are, like, they're meant to be, I think, in the original, like, lore where they come from, they're meant to be, like, nasty, inorganic, disgusting. I was about to make a Shadow the Hedgehog reference, but I don't think I can say that, but disgusting, blank creatures, like, they're meant to be impure monsters. Meanwhile, Tristan just came out pretty because both of his parents are pretty. Like, bada bing, bada boob. He just got the luck in the genetic draw. Meanwhile, this thing looks like that thing you find in the back of your closet when you haven't slept for 3 days straight. Like, obviously, things don't look good. But we see... But the weird thing is, though, right? Melascula goes on to say, born between a demon and a goddess, a Nephilim. How repulsive. Although I can't say I feel much of the demon side. But before we get into I can't feel much of the demon side. Let's, like, unless I'm mistaken, Nephilim has very specific etymology. Hold on, I'm going to check this right now. Okay, yeah. So unless the big book exists in this world too, they shouldn't have the word Nephilim. But then again, they have the word demon and goddess. But, like, the thing is, Tristan is the first of his kind. That's the thing. It's not like Tristan is an establishment. Like, Meliodas and Elizabeth would have had to name him. Or, like, name his species, I guess. Because he's the first. Like, remember Zeldris and Gelda's reaction to even hearing that Elizabeth got pregnant. Like, I think Tristan wasn't even born up to that point. And they were like, wait, y'all can do that? Like, they just straight up weren't sure that could even happen. And assumedly, unless there's other stories of demons and goddesses eloping in the background, that the supreme deity and demon king just either A, let happen because they didn't care, or B, just happened because they were too under the radar to notice. I wonder, like, where does that word come from in this context? Like, demon and goddess make sense. That was the names given to the respective clans by their creators. Obviously, that one works. But considering Tristan is the first of his kind, the idea that a Nephilim... But then again, you could argue that it's just impure child, as, like, the parentheses beneath the word Nephilim and Melascula's statement is. Like, maybe this is just a new word, or maybe it means something in their language that doesn't reference from our language. I just know the word from a very specific book, and in the context of Seven Deadly Sins, I don't think that word should exist. But we could be flipping it up. We could be getting a little bit saucy. A little bit saucy and special. However, off my whole weird etymology debate and stuff like that, interesting that Melascula senses, like, she can't necessarily perceive both powers being active at the same time, which simultaneously makes sense and intrigues me. She goes on to say, your appearance and magic are both just like that despicable woman, blood-stained Ellie. That said, it seems the strength of your magic doesn't even hold a candle to your mother. Meaning, this technically, it kind of does make sense, because remember, darkness and light technically aren't really supposed to work together. Like, light literally erases darkness, and darkness in too much quantity consumes light. Like, that's why, for the longest time, demons and goddesses didn't question what their masters did to each other, just because, like, their properties were inherently antagonistic to each other. They just didn't like each other. That was simple as that. However, in this case, maybe the reason, and no, not in this case, but due to that, it may make sense that while Tristan's using one of his powers, the other one's, like, fighting inside him, trying to stay alive. Like, he's not even a real true mix. Like, he's a quarter goddess. I know Nakaba in, like, interviews or Q&As or whatever said he's just a half goddess, even though that makes absolutely no sense, because Elizabeth is a half goddess, so he should be quarter. But regardless, him being half goddess and half demon, let's just go with that classification, is, like, it's weird to think, but I guess opposites attract. I mean, like, essentially, his inner magic could be combative. And that would make sense why he didn't manifest the demon mark when he last pulled up with the demon eye and the goddess eye. Because, like, the two parts of him are fighting. Like, hey, I own this body, get out. Like, they're just consistently having combat over, like, hey, I want to exist. No, I want to exist. Because chaos was, like, a perfect balance in great extremes. Like, to the point where, like, it was kind of impossible for one to overwhelm the other, but you could definitely see on a smaller scale why these two would be batting back and forth, and why, hypothetically, the existence of one could be hindering the growth of the other. Like, the reason that Malaska could be bringing up the fact that Tristan's power doesn't hold a candle to Elizabeth's is because it quite literally can't. Like, who knows whether or not it could actually do anything to Elizabeth, or, like, who knows, maybe he doesn't have the same growth rate because the darkness inside of him is like, hey, stop that, bad boy, stop growing. You don't get rights, you stay down. And then the reason that maybe he's not so advanced with darkness is because it's like, hey, the light inside of him is like, yo, stop that, calm down, stop growing, you're getting too powerful. And it's just a constant back and forth in between him, though at the same time, just because of how strong his roots are, like the Oda of the chapter said, Demon King Father and Goddess Clan Queen Mother, his potential, even if it's nerfed by his own inner conflict, would still be nuts. Like, he has literally the best, the only thing that hypothetically could have been stronger than him, at least potential wise, is quite literally if the Demon King, the Supreme Deity, knocked boots. Like, that's it. Like, you're one line down, and who knows, that may even give you even more potential. But like, because Meliodas is stronger than the Demon King. I don't think Elizabeth ever surpassed the Supreme Deity. But, so essentially, if Meliodas and the Supreme Deity knock boots, bada bing, bada boom, you have the strongest creature to ever exist, potentially. But I don't think Elizabeth nor Meliodas would be down with that. But essentially, that could be the reason why Tristan's magic is, like, combative, or, like, not necessarily to the level of his mother, despite being the same age as her in the original series. Like, Elizabeth, even at 16, before she got all her memories back, was capable of healing more than just physical wounds. But that could just because she was essentially pure goddess with much more potential in terms of just her one side. However, interestingly enough, when this whole proposition is brought up that Tristan really is, low-key kind of water, in actuality, he's pretty much excited by the prospect. He even cheers and is like, I know, right? And this is so, like, off-putting that even Malaskiel's like, I'm sorry, what you say, my boy? Like she's straight up concerned. And Tristan goes on to reveal that, like, hold on, let me see, can I do a Tristan voice? Like, I'm low-key disappointed myself for not being able to pull out a gallon before, so I think I gotta try with Tristan. What would he sound like? I know, right? That's true. Sorry, I moved to my chair. That's true. Mother is amazing. Compared to her, I can heal wounds, but I can't cure ailments or curses. But since I'm told I resemble her down upon to what? I'm sorry, I can't speak, but I gotta tell you, Tristan here, did you know the like button is free? Also, the subscribe button is free. I'd greatly appreciate if you hit those both. Thank you. But also, it's true. Mother is amazing. Compared to her, I'm nothing. I can heal wounds, but I can't cure curses or ailments. But since I'm told I resemble her upon first meeting, I guess I do resemble her a lot. The truth is, the right ear piercing too was given to me by Aunt Margaret-sama, who said you and your mother are like two peas in a pod. By the way, that episode where Mother was known as Bloodstained Ellie in the demon world, could you tell me something about it? She really doesn't like to talk about that. You know, the past is a bit scary. I know, I feel like I can't even do that voice well, because I want to make it so high-pitched, but at the same time, I'm not sure what he would really sound like, because, like, Bryce Papenbrook is in my head. I'm trying to fuse Bryce Papenbrook's voice, and also, I forget what Elizabeth's English voice actor name is, but I can't do female voices to start with, so I'm kind of stuck in a bubble. But it's very interesting that Tristan is actually so excited about the fact that his mother is so superior to him. And I wonder if that's like in just the, oh man, my mom's so cool. Like he's excited on that front, which does kind of be highlighted with the fact that he's like so interested to hear about the bloody Ellie part of her lifestyle. Just like me, for real, Nakaba. Can we get some more of that sauce? You mentioned the title once before this, and now you're bringing it up again, and I know we're never gonna see it. And that really hurts me, Nakaba. Please, if I could, honestly, I still want a prequel, bro. Like, give me a Seven Deadly Sins 3,000 years past prequel. You can drop it like once a year, or maybe not once a year. That would actually hurt. But like, drop it every couple months. I'd appreciate that. Just please, Nakaba, give me something. Give me some food. But it's very interesting that Tristan has this excitement about this, and I wonder if it's because he thinks that he could get that strong, meaning he's so excited for how much further he has to go and grow, or he's like, once again, just excited for his mom. But the same thing, it's very interesting how Tristan, seemingly a happy-go-lucky guy, would be so interested in the title of Bloodstained Ellie, which means that it's likely, Meliodas mentioned that before, it's just that he nor Elizabeth want to elaborate on it. But it's such an interesting point, because like you think Tristan wouldn't want to hear about the bloody past of his mom. Like, obviously that sounds a little bit concerning, considering how sweet he knows his mother to be. But at the same time, he does have some inherent interest in it. Like, ooh, fancy mama. Like, he's straight up intrigued with the idea that his mother could have been a warrior of that caliber. I think it is pretty cool, and I wish we could see it too, Tristan. You know, if you could just convince your mom or something like that. But regardless of that, the more interesting thing to highlight here is that even Belasco is like thrown off by this creepy fanboyism coming from her greatest enemy's son. Though we get to see that while she tries to like attack him with the nasty amalgamation thing. Ew. I can't tell. Is that the goddess tongue? Or is that the deep thing? I don't know. That's such a weird looking amalgamation. Though Tristan does casually dodge it. And we see that while Velasquez is like, hey, yo, quit messing around with me, Tristan's like, whoa, what you mean? What you mean, homeboy? I'm not messing around at all. I'm dead serious. Help me out. Let me know. She's like, that's what's messing around with me. AKA, and once again, it goes to show you, at least in the cases of both Tristan and Lancelot, based on how they interact with these respective threats, they don't view them as threats, like, at all. Because here's Tristan just casually asking about his mom's past in the middle of a fight with literally one of the 10 Commandments, and Lancelot standing around posing. I still will admit, Lancelot not doing anything. He kind of on some demon time right now, bro. Like, what he does later on in this chapter, he could have done immediately. But we do get to see that apparently in Velasco's eyes, he doesn't represent or recognize or seem like Meliodas at all. Like, Tristan just seems entirely different from him. And shockingly enough, Tristan's excited about that too. He's like, yeah, you really think so? And that's a very interesting reaction. I wonder why. Like, the thing is, I also wonder if this is a potential thing versus a I don't like what my dad stands for thing. I'm going to assume it may be a little bit of both, but then again, I don't like Meliodas didn't seem like the kind of guy who had a bad relationship with Tristan. Like, sure, he was portrayed as like in Tristan's mind, oh no, he's one of the the great sinners. That's what Tristan had in his mind. But at the very end of the final chapter, he's like, oh, I want to be one of the 7 deadly sins. So obviously, whatever hypothetical resentment he may have had towards the idea of his father is very likely just dead and buried. So the fact that he's so excited that he doesn't resemble his father is kind of weird, especially considering he is literally just his father again. All he has is Elizabeth's hair and earring. Oh, wild thing to mention. I kind of just glazed over the fact that Margaret was mentioned, but makes sense. Margaret is alive. Well, it makes sense that Margaret would be alive and in the kingdom, since Gil is alive and in the kingdom. But due to the lack of mention of Veronica, I'm assuming she is literally just with Griamore. Like, she's just straight up may have abandoned the kingdom and gone to live with Griamore, which does make sense. However, we do see that apparently Melascula. I'm still wondering about Tristan not being so excited that he doesn't resemble Meliodas. But we do see that Melascula is like, you fool, you imbecile. You know, you shouldn't be so giddy in the midst of a battle. You're really good at angering people, aren't you? Like, Melascula, do something. Be about it. Don't just say about it, be about it. Like, if you have a problem with the way he's acting, make him stop acting that way. Maybe you just aren't a threat. Maybe you just aren't viable. Maybe you were power crept out of the narrative the moment you were reintroduced. Maybe you're just fodder. Like, maybe you should just wake up to reality. Like straight up. Maybe you just aren't that guy. Maybe you just aren't that gal. Maybe you just aren't that snake. Have you ever considered that? Go shed some skin and go crawl in a hole somewhere. You're just invalid. You're worthless. You have no value in life. And all you are is a waste of space. How could you? How did you even continue your existence like this? You are garbage, useless, worthless, and a waste of manga panels. Get off the screen. Get out of the narrative and perish. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. But we do get to see, and like, I'm not gonna lie, you can check this out, my live reactions over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. I greatly appreciate the support. But when I first read this, I was like, huh? Like, the fairy that's shown here is like, it's so strange. It's almost out of art style. Like, there are like moments in manga where like a mangaka will draw something and I will just have a reaction where like, that's not them. my eyes will twitch, my blood pressure will raise, like my spiritual pressure will rise. But in moments I'm like, huh, that isn't, like, it just doesn't look right. And that fairy is an example of this. Like, it just doesn't look like any fairy we've seen, despite having all the pieces of things, like, despite resembling every fairy we've seen. I don't know, it just seems so strange. But we see that this fairy is just vibing here, floating in midair, interrupting the battle. And both Tristan and Melascula are like, what are you doing here? A fairy? And Tristan, he takes it hook, line, and sinker. He's like, wait, a fairy living in Leonis? What business do you have here? It's dangerous, so hurry up and get away. Tristan, is it really dangerous? You're having a whole interview about your mom here. Like, you're literally fanboying about your parents right now. Like, what do you mean it's dangerous? However, we get to see that the fairy has some business with the demon over there. And note how he uses the word demon. And we see Melascula even questions it. She's like, me? A demon? What you talking about? You were a rude fairy. Did you come here just to get killed? I'm an apostle of chaos, serving the king of chaos, Chaos Melascula. When like she's a little freaking out. You can even tell that. I like it though. I'm not gonna lie, I do like characters who like have multiple forms, like shapeshift a little bit slightly whenever they lose control of their emotions. Like, you can see how she's gripping her fists and like how she has sharper teeth now. Like, she doesn't just have regular teeth, her fangs pop out. I like that. Nice little details. But you see the fairy just completely doesn't care and is like, yo, let me level with you real quick. Back when you came into the kingdom, where did the person who you initially was with go off to? Like, where did they run off to? And Melascula's like, huh? Like, any reasonable person would have that reaction too. Like, you're a rando. What are you doing? What's happening? Why are you asking that? But naturally, she thinks about it. Like, they didn't mess up, did they? That star visor. And I'll admit, for some reason, that just this drop of the star visor got me unbelievably hyped. The star visor. They said they were heading near the castle. Anyway, what kind of idiotic looking fairy? And like, even Melascula's like, you're out of the art style. You don't look this way. You shouldn't look this way. And she thinks all that, but it's too late at that point, because she goes and she uses, ironically enough, what seems to be darkness. It doesn't look like a chaotic little flesh thing. It looks like darkness that she uses to attack the fairy and tear it apart. and we see that Tristan, like Tristan, the reason, like, if it wasn't revealed that he fell for it hook, line, and sinker later on, I would have thought he was just in on the bit, because there's no way Tristan wouldn't have been able to not intercept that. Like, Tristan has been shown to keep up with Lancelot on multiple occasions, and even straight up perception blitz Gawain. Well, not perception blitz, but, like, avoid him massively to the point where he couldn't even tell. Like, all he could tell was that he hit 2 people. He didn't know where the other 2 went. So, it's pretty crazy that if this was just some random innocent fairy, they legit would have died because of Tristan's negligence. But the thing is, we do get to see that the like button is free. So is the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it if you both hit those. If you hit both of them, I really appreciate that. It helps with me out, helps the channel out, helps the video out a whole lot. Helps more people, more Fortnite fans get content like this. Thank you so much. However, we do get to see that Velasquez roasting the fairy for an unsightly death. But we do get to see, why is this fairy posing like that? I love it because we get the reaction. Just the reaction I expected. And Velasquez flashes over, and the crazy thing, like, the speed of the character this fairy is revealed to be is kind of just nuts. Like, and I know they come from a speed demon, arguably the speed demon of the original series. And it does make sense, as this new speed demon was stated to be faster than Tristan, who, or at least stronger than Tristan, and we know in sevendeadlysins, usually your strength, speed, it all correlates. Like, you get stronger, you get faster, you get faster, you get stronger, normally. So it does make sense that this being is so fast. But we see that Velasquez just didn't even recognize it. Like, she straight up thought she offed him, but no, the fairy managed to dodge all that unscathed. And the interesting thing is that the fairy begins to just openly hypothesize, like, okay, if the storm visor is near the castle, I guess they went to the dungeon. That may be why I can't sense their magic. And Velasquez is shocked that, oh no, a fairy could read her heart. shock horror. And then Tristan finally realizes that, well, maybe it's great. Let me think. No, yeah, he's shocked because he goes, like, Tristan goes on to say that fairy is, like, he knew it all along. But then we get to see that the fairy is like, well, since you're an idiot and you're put off guard by this form, you like your thoughts without being cautious. Huh, I appreciate it. We get a puff of smoke, and then it's like, hey, demon, if you judge others by appearances like that, you'll just end up hurt. Ah, he's too saucy with it. He's too saucy. Please get him a good voice actor. Please. I think Ben Diskin would work just fine. He is the son of Bond. But, like, get a good voice actor for Lance. I may actually just listen. Just all, like, I may do it myself, gosh darn it. I may make a Lance Barr compilation, bro. Because, like, it is crazy how saucy this man is. And his hands still haven't left his pockets. Man has been vibing against commandments. And, like, to be fair, it does put his morality into question. Like, dude, if you can end this problem as easily as it seems you can end it, like, you're straight out perception blitzing them multiple times. Like, they straight up can't tell where you are half the time. Just load up an arrow and shoot them already. Like, just take care of it. I get it. You're trying to test the other knights, but in the same vein of Meliodas, like, do something, gosh darn it, because you obviously can. But it's hilarious and amazing that Lance is just this saucy. Like, and this is once again a case where I feel like I shouldn't like Lance just due to the hipster in me. Like, I'll admit, when something gets popular, it's like, oh, I don't want to like it. Then again, the moment the Spy X, like, ironically enough, Spy X Family blew up after the anime came out. Or Spy Family, I know. Just like Hunter x Hunter. You can't say Hunter x Hunter, even though there's an X there. I know, I get it. It's blah, blah, blah. But let me not get into that. But essentially, Spy Family came out as an anime. But ironically enough, as I do randomly sometimes on Shonen Jump, if I see a series that I may remotely be interested in by the art style, I click on it and I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's how I started reading MASH, by the way. I did not start reading MASH week by week from the beginning. I was just like, that was kind of cool. Let me click on it. And I read it, and then I've been reading it on and off, ironically enough. I haven't actually consistently read MASH, which is weird because I like MASH. I just haven't read it consistently. Mainly because I think I need to go back and reread. I joined too late, so I don't get what's happening, but I haven't had, like, the mental capacity to go back and reread it from the start. But essentially, long story short, I clicked on Spy Family, looked at it, and was like, it's not my thing. Like, I remember specifically reading one of the chapters before the anime dropped, and I was like, yeah, it's not for me. But then the anime dropped, I saw some clips, and I was like, well, darn, I gotta read the whole thing now. And I proceeded to blaze through 60 chapters. I don't know. So something's wrong with me. I have like the reverse hipster effect. Like I remember a friend of mine long ago, way before the Demon Slayer anime, recommended me Demon Slayer. I remember that. I remember him specifically saying, "Yeah, go read Demon Slayer." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." I took one look at the manga art, and I was like, "Yeah, no." And I proceeded to put it down and never pick it up again. Anime dropped, first season, saw some clips, went and read the whole thing. Was there when the manga ended. That's how quickly I got caught up. I think I started reading around whatever chapters the manga was on around the first anime season. That's when I started reading the whole thing and was there week by week. So I think I may try to be like a hipster, but I think I have the inverse hipster effect. I think as long as something gets popular, then I think I'll put a whole ton of time into it. So the whole reason for this tangent is that Lance feels like he's being written to be cool. It feels like Nakaba's explicitly writing him to make Lance my favorite knight, like, or make Lance everyone's favorite knight. Like he's explicitly too saucy with it, too swaggerful. He has the exaggerated swagger of more than a half human, half fairy teen. He's just built like that. But that being said, it's not like I'm gonna fight it. He's just that good. He's just that goated. But ironically enough, the interesting thing is that Lance can fly. I know that's such a wild thing to point out, but and who knows? It can't just be an aspect of him transforming into a fairy. I think he just has access to freeform flight, which is something I wasn't sure he had access to because he hadn't shown it previously, whether he was Sin or in Lance form. But if he can fly as a fairy and not flap his wings, he's very likely able to just fly as human Lance, which is amazing. Cool. Everyone can fly now, which is very interesting. We know Percy can fly, Gawain can fly. I'm assuming that's what Gawain was doing, at least levitating. And then we know Tristan can obviously fly, he's doing that right now, and now Lance. Which means, Nakaba, you can have some air battles now. Because admittedly, one of the main things that held back the sevendeadlysins to like ground combat is the fact that only Meliodas, Merlin, and King could fly. Diane couldn't fly, Escanor couldn't fly, Bond couldn't fly, and Gother couldn't fly. In fact, one of the biggest things is that Gother is always constantly riding around on Hawk because he simply couldn't fly. But now that we have a whole group of flyers for our main cast, there's some aerial battles going. Nakaba, like, go wild, go crazy, go stupid. Like, involve the combat scenery. I would appreciate it. I would like it. You would not hear any complaints from me at the very least. However, we do get to see that while Tristan is so shocked that the fairy was Lancelot, even though perception blitzed the commandment, that's crazy. But we see that Melastigula is once again going through what Galen was going through. The whole idea of, you keep saying that I'm a demon, ridiculous. And Lance is like, yeah, you're a demon. Am I wrong? One of the 10... Hold on, I gotta put on the Lance voice, because like that's a voice that I think came to me one day and it hasn't left. Am I wrong? One of the 10... Man, I keep messing up. I can't read. Am I wrong? One of the Demon King's elite. The 10 Commandments. Melastigula of Faith. And he's spitting. He is spitting. But obviously, this doesn't do well with Melastigula's programming. To the point where she starts to have a whole spasm. And one thing I will admit, it's only because of Mock Rock Talks. I'm noticing a lot more how good Nakaba is at posing. Like, he has such a dynamic poses. Like, the way that Melastigula is holding her head, that silhouette is great. I don't know why. But we get to see that she's going through the same thing that Galen was going through when she acknowledged the fact that she was one of the 10 Commandments. Like, I am one of the 10 Commandments. Impossible. She's straight up. But, of course, the spells radiating through her head again. Destroy them. Those who oppose the Camcast, the Eternal Kingdom, the sevendeadlysins, the fourknightsoftheapocalypse, and those who help them in their other races. Yeah, obviously, this is the same brainwashing spell. And we get to see... notably, I was hoping it may be something more complicated. And maybe Melastigula wasn't under the brainwashing spell. She was just, like, genuinely rehabilitated through, like, Merlin and Arthur and stuff like that, and the usage of chaos powers. But, as we see by the way she's freaking out, and Lancelot being questioned on what he did, Lancelot just says, well... pretty obviously, I just gave a little poke. It seems like these guys have been placed under a crude brainwashing spell. Interesting that he uses the word crude. To be fair, it is pretty crude. And I wonder, is this, like... I'm not sure. Merlin couldn't necessarily brainwash people. Like, at least off the top of my dome, I don't think she had the capacity to brainwash people. But we do know that Merlin learned all the secrets of the Goddess Clan. Jeez, chair, stop that. But we do know that Merlin knows all the secrets of the Goddess Clan and the Demon Clan. So brainwashing very much is within her repertoire, though hypothetically could not be working because of the darkness in them. I don't know. It's very interesting that Merlin of all people, but like there's no way this is someone else. I don't think Nanashi would have cast this spell. I doubt, especially after he sees what kind of timing Arthur's on right now. I doubt he even want to let Arthur know he's a goddess for obviously wanting to stay alive. So maybe hypothetically this could be Nanashi, and maybe that's why it's crude. But like Merlin doesn't seem like the kind of person to have a crude brainwashing spell. She would have that bad boy perfected and enhanced with infinity, so that thing would never go away. But considering this brainwashing spell is so crude, it sort of allows the commandments a bit of free will. But obviously the commandments, whenever they start to get free will, the spell's like, not today, buddy. No. And something that is a yes is that the like button is free. So is the subscribe button. I really appreciate if you hit those. If you're enjoying the video so far and you're this deep, thank you so much. However, the thing is, we do get to see that the thinking, essentially any previous memories that do not involve like hatred of the seven deadly sins or any of the assigned enemies is sort of overwritten. And being a demon is it's not a good thing. And we do get to see that now that she's all disrupted, being a sorceress type, that's the word I was looking for, she won't be able to fight in the traditional manner anymore. She won't be able to use like spells and even retain that magical form. And now it should be easier for Tristan to body bag her. And the thing is, right, like Tristan and Lance, as was pointed out to me, thank you guys for that, they both got the whole backstory of the seven deadly sins. Did Tristan just forget that this isn't Melascula's true form? Like, did he just forget about the gigantic snake? And then we get to see that Lance, he kind of just dips. He's just like, well, gotta go take care of stuff at the castle, which is good. I think he should have dipped a while ago, or at least gotten this information and dipped quicker. So it makes sense that he's gone. But we see Melascula, she's getting a bit pregnant. AKA, that suit's a little bit too tight now. And she's exploding out of her humanoid form, something a little bit more girthy. And I love, like, you can see a little side story on the panels. Like, as Lance is talking to Tristan, Gawain has finally caught Percival, who's running in place. And Gawain's literally holding him by the cape. And then as Melascula begins to transform, we see that Tristan is shocked. And Gawain is shocked that she's looking up, but she has Percival in arm, blade drawn, like she's ready to decapitate him. But luckily enough, Melascula's transforming has saved Percival's life. And we get to see she's ripping back into her gigantic snake form. So obviously, I'm sorry, y'all. The Melascula you do a lot. Well, I know some people are into that. So maybe you do want Melascula to be big, so she can do big things to you. But that's neither here nor there. Do what you want. I ain't no judge. However, we get to see that now she's at full snake size, and the first thing she roars out is destroy. And I will admit, looking at this, did I miss this initial panel in my reaction? I do not remember seeing this. That is really good art. I may just draw that on the side. Like, not for the channel or anything, but I actually really like how he drew that snake. That's beautiful. Sure, she's yelling destroy and destroying buildings. Once again, I mean, Lance has no loyalty to the kingdom. Well, I mean, he loves Meliodas, or like probably he cares about Tristan and Meliodas and the fact that this is their kingdom. But this isn't like the fairy realm. He has no jurisdiction here, really. He's just one of the four knights. So it makes sense why he wouldn't really care about the buildings being destroyed. But Meliodas, you gonna let this slide, bro? But of course, we get to see that Tristan, while he's still on the standby and just looking at it like, huh, this is her true form. Percival's just terrified. He's like, a huge snake, and he just latches on to Gawain. I love their relationship, and obviously, like, this is just enough that Gawain has completely forgotten all her bloodlust. She's like, huh? Did she transform or something? Like she's actually confused and not just trying to go over Percy's head. Like, she's not even mad that he just straight up latched onto her head, which you think Gawain would be. But I appreciate it. I like the bond that's already building between those two. Once again, very brother sister twins relationship that I appreciate. However, we do get to see that with Melascula back at full size, the whole kingdom's finally waking up and be like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute, ooh, and running off. And I don't blame them. But we do get to see that while everyone's running away, the Percy gang is like, what? They're straight up blown away. They're like, how are we supposed to be narratively relevant when they're fighting things like this? And I find it hilarious how this is if this isn't Nakaba writing them out of the narrative, I just don't know what is. Like, there have been, well, no, it's only been 3 battles so far, but like Pelgard, Galland, and Malasula now, like, all they've been doing, we've just been getting reaction shots from them, and I think that's what they're going to be reduced to. Unfortunately, that's the thing, I've gone into this many times before, but all their functions are fulfilled by a knight. Like, the only thing I could hypothetically see is, once again, the only person I could see being useful magic-wise or post-combat-wise is Nasians, because he could hypothetically, like, help with poisons and ailments and stuff like that, and who knows, maybe he'll learn curse manipulation and stuff like that. But once Tristan gets that, Nasians irrelevant. Nasians isn't, whatever little healing he could do, irrelevant, because obviously they have Tristan and Percy. Percy and Tristan is a double wombo healing combo. And then Anne's ability, once again, is just bootleg booty cheek heart reading, where you can't tell what they're hiding from you or what they're lying about. Meanwhile, all Lance has to do is slightly provoke the thought, and bada bing bada boom, he has all the information he needs, as we just saw in this chapter. And Lance also has telekinesis, and Percy also has bootleg telekinesis, and even Gawain has somewhat telekinesis. Well, that's mainly with Lita, so that may not count, but once again, Tristan could also use bootleg telekinesis with his darkness. So like, the whole squad's pretty much relevant. And note how we haven't even gotten, like, the only glance of Tristan platoon that we've gotten was that one shot of Isolde how long ago? And that was it. That group is gone too. So I think this is once again just their official bye, no more narrative relevance for you, ha. But once again, if we're gonna get more development for our main cast, more balanced development for our main cast in the Four Knights, I'll take that over the side characters. That's admittedly one of the issues I do have with Seven Deadly Sins itself. Like Diane, Merlin, heck, even King a little bit. They got done dirty. But we do get to see that Malasula, upon being brought back into a state where she's more apt for destroying, she does get some of her consciousness back. Like, you should have asked why she's in that form, and she thinks it's hideous. Meaning she does have, like, some sort of sentience again, which is, it's very interesting that Arthur would allow any sentience within them. Like, I get it, brainwashing, and they may not be able to use their full capabilities if they didn't have, like, any sentience at all. Like, that may have been an issue. But at the same time, I feel like it's more of a liability than an asset to have it even be a possibility that they can rebel against a brainwashing spell. And who knows, maybe if someone, like, right now, if instead of fighting Galland, and I know Galland was trying to kill them, so it may be different, but instead of just, like, absolutely slaughtering these two, if Gawain, since we know she has access to Absolute Cancel, were to use Absolute Cancel and, like, touch their heads or something like that, because it's a brainwashing spell, would she be able to free them? Or would that, like, because, like, Malasula never died, she's just infused with Chaos Magic now, and Galland was revived, he's just infused with Chaos Magic now. So maybe the Chaos Magic would cancel out too and end up killing them. But I think it's entirely possible that these two could just be restored to their regular selves. And with enough, like, talking and training, they could join the crew. Like, they don't have to be enemies of Britannia. They could just join Meliodas' side. Especially considering Galland seems to be a person who respects strength. And I bet as long as Meliodas just kept whooping him, he'd be like, fine, I'll help you out. And Malasula, we may just have to, like, get rid of her, though. I don't think she'd bow down, unfortunately. However, we get to see that while the Holy Knights are like, whoa, that big snake is strong. This big snake does not like the fact that she's a big snake right now, and she's like, don't look at me, I'll swallow you all whole. However, the thing is, I know some of y'all would be into that. And two, it is a mad ominous seeing Tristan in the background. Like, notably, you see his goddess wings fading and being overtaken by dark wings. And notably, you see that Peliot is, like, leading the knights against the charge. He's like, no matter what, we must back up the Knights of Prophecy. Like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're Holy Knights. We're gonna be relevant. But I think they forgot which series they were in, because in the very next page, well, like, it's annihilated. Like, it is actually crazy what Tristan, like, how dirty Tristan does her. Like, straight up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 shots. He took out all 7 of her hearts with the quickness, the speed, the velocity. Like, it is nutty how quick he took out all her hearts. Like, all her vital organs gone. That man wasted no time. He popped out the demon mark so quick. And admittedly, he looking just like his grandpappy. Like, golly, like, that is not, ironically enough, it looks like a mix of. Hold on, let me look up Demon King's Eldris. So, ironically enough, the like button is free, and so is the subscribe button. So I really appreciate if you press both of those. But on top of that, while the mark is kind of similar to the Demon King, it's just bigger, which is concerning. It also, he has the dark streaks which come down from his eyes, which only the Demon King had. Like like Meliodas and Eldris had it, but they were thicker, and there was only on one side. Meanwhile, Tristan has them on both sides. And also, if you remember, Ludichel's like arc attacks, like I'm not sure, like the four-sided prong things, it kind of looks like just a dark colored version of that, like at full expansion, which could be tying into the fact that this could be like where his goddess half evolves into and fills in. But once again, it's crazy. He absolutely bodied Melascula solely with his darkness. Like there's not an ounce of goddess in him. And notably, he did this, at least from what I can tell, with no wings. Like maybe Nagabiz didn't draw him, but he did that, dominated Melascula, easy. And I love the look when he lands. Like it's this dark, ominous, evil looking look. And Melascula even notes this evil and huge power. You're not anything like your mother. On the contrary, you're a monster like your father. And we see that Tristan, he recovers, breathing heavy, and he's like, it's because I didn't want to hear that I didn't use this power. And that's sad. It's sad that the stigma, and then again, it's because Melascula's chaos wiped anyway. She'd probably be proud of Tristan if she actually sensed that power while she was still demon strong, demon good. But it's interesting how that stigma around demons is what's keeping Tristan from like really acknowledging his true strength. Like everything. Like he's probably afraid to use his own power because he doesn't want to be called that. He doesn't want to be called a monster, and that's sad. I hope his journey is going to be a journey of self-acceptance, and like his true power and his true realization will be the merger of the two, maybe leading to chaos magic. But I'm very, very intrigued. However, with that being the end of the chapter, we do get to see one more thing. As Melascula is lying and dying quietly, I believe with her tongue out, she does say, "Oh, King Arthur, grant us one last power." And as Tristan gets run up on by Percy, going to congratulate him, the staff glows with bright golden eyes. So we're probably gonna get like a fusion of both Melascula and Galen, like maybe an armored Melascula or something like that, or maybe a snakeified Galen. I'm assuming because the whole chaos power thing, unless it just re-amps them and makes them strong one more time, and like the trio has to jump them or something like that. We'll see. However, really, really solid chapter. I love what it does for Tristan's character. I love how it really, like, we can all assume his arc based on what we learned about him in his movie, but like this really solidifies it, as in like the whole story of Tristan will be about self-acceptance, how he views his parents, how he views his lineage, and all that. Very, very excited to see that. However, those are my thoughts on the chapter. Please leave me your thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off.